Good morning. I have a friend who says exactly what she thinks at all times. There's no flowery language, no verbal detours. You know exactly where she stands when she's speaking. That's refreshing at times. Maybe you're like that. Christ, on the other hand, used stories to teach us, used analogies and parables to explain to us the substance of his message. He couldn't just go the way human beings prefer, in linear ways from point A to point B. In using language, human language, to try and describe what God is like, what the divine is like, Christ could only accomplish that through storytelling. It reminds me in many ways of the journey of Moses and the Hebrew people in the Sinai desert when they were lost. Story goes that they were lost for 40 years. And yet we also know that God is the one that rescued them from slavery, that God broke them free from the power of the Egyptian Pharaoh and was leading them by day in a cloud, and at night by a pillar of fire. So how could they be lost if God was leading them? It's certainly not that God didn't know the way. It's that through that journey, God had to win their hearts. God had to fully win their trust. He had to reassemble them from this jumble of possessions of other people as slaves into this full identity as the chosen, as the one that God had selected for God's self. A people that belonged just to God. That God would provide food, water, safety, nourishment, and direction. Sometimes I'm sure the Egyptians, the Hebrew people, as they were wandering through this desert for 40 years, and was, hey, doesn't that mountain look familiar? Haven't we kind of passed that before? It's so similar for us. We too are on a journey. We too have to trust that the God who loves us knows where God is going, even if we don't. Sometimes we feel like we're in a desert. Sometimes we feel like, hey, haven't I learned that lesson yet? I've been around the block before, and that benchmark, that landmark, I'm just not learning what I need to learn. Why is it so hard to trust God? Why is it so hard to follow? And God knows that this journey costs us. We need to let go of our own ability to discern where we're going, to figure things out, to get out of that linear thinking head that wants to go from point A to point B, to follow where God leads, that God knows where God's taking us. This journey is unlike any other journey we will ever make in our lives. All the navigation tools and compasses and ways that we orient ourselves in the world can go out the window. Trust. Believe. Sometimes we're confused, like, why isn't it simpler? Why can't I just connect with God the way I'm able to connect with others? But God's the one leading us, winning our hearts, gaining our trust, asking us to believe. So when we don't go in a straight line, when our experience of God doesn't follow all the typical rules, don't judge yourself. Don't think you're doing it the wrong way. Don't figure you're out of here. It's just not worth it. Believe what you don't know. That's tricky. Believe in the fact that God knows what you don't know. And just like the Egyptians said over and over in their own minds, if God is for us, who can be against? If God's the one in charge, what does it matter how long it takes us to get there? Enjoy the journey. Let go of the need and the urgency to accomplish at your own speed. And trust that you will make it to the promised land, to this union with God, to this relationship with God that will blow our minds, that we will not be able to understand in any other way except through our heart.